Hello, everybody. Welcome to this debate between Joseph Oddo and Reverend Dr. Brent Allen Dillon. I am Zeph Young, the Vice President, your host today, as we have a great debate. As the first of many questions is going to be about the tariffs. You've seen the tariffs that Trump, on day one, wants to put on against Canada and Mexico. As that happened, Mexico's president says that they're going to fire back with tariffs against the United States. Joseph, what are your thoughts on this response from the Mexican president?
Well, it's just a continuation of war. It may be not fighting with military, but they're fighting with words, fighting with economic measures. That's same old that you get from the big two parties. So no surprise here. This party that won the last election, they thrive on chaos. So if they can create more chaos, it'll help them in the midterms next time around.
Brett, you can respond now.
Well, in my opinion, we've all seen the complications and the repercussions the first time when Trump implemented the tariffs, to where Canada fired back with raising the cost of wood. Mexico is going to fire back with raising the cost of agriculture. So therefore, if he's all about trying to diminish this increase in the cost of everything, then why is he going to be starting off by raising prices even further?
Whenever you two both are done talking, you can both come in rebuttal if you would like to. Joseph, would you like to rebuttal?
Well, I have a wonder about the whole, what are they using the tariffs for? If they're actually charging all this extra money, are they going to use it for deficit reduction? I doubt it. They're probably going to just use it to fill their own personal coffers and pay back all their donors. So there's another nefarious purpose behind it, I suspect.
Well, the first thing that I have to say is that using the term war is never a good thing, because those kind of words are what ignite these things. So we've got to choose our words carefully when we are talking about another country, because the U.S. is already considered a warmongering country throughout the world. We don't need to use the word war at this moment, because that right there is just opening that door.
Point well taken, sir. I agree. We do need to talk to the people rather than just throw, these sanctions against them, which is an act of war in my mind. So, being that the military industrial complex runs the government and those recently elected and the ones disposed, they were both bought and paid for by the same entities. So that's just one of many of the corporate interests that runs that government. So we the citizens are the ones that should be at war with that corporate interests and bring back power to the citizens by ending all the wars, all the imperial measures like that. So I appreciate your point, because you're right. We do need to talk in more positive terms.
Yes, and on your point about the citizens, it does state that the Tree of Liberty does need to be refreshed time from time by the people when it comes to both foreign and domestic issues. And this is a war on the people here, because number one, it's look at the tax cut that Trump gave them, all of the corporations. Biggest tax cut in history. Now, if he's talking about reducing inflation, why is he taking steps and talking about causing more inflation?
I got nothing else for that.
Sure, thank you. Our next topic, this is out of the Middle East, just coming out today, that Israel and Hezbollah has had a ceasefire deal for that war. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Reverend Brent Allen Dillon?
My opinion on that is that it's about time. And I can honestly tell all of you that this is something that I've spoken about because even the world courts have said that Israel has committed crimes against humanity and everything else. Plus, it's the fact that there are too many innocent lives being lost. And if Israel does not stop this pursuit, the 20-year war in the Middle East, we do not need to go back. So these are proper steps to be taken.
Yeah, it's sad that it is, timing of that is rather suspicious.
I have with that is the fact that Israel has not been just targeting Hezbollah as they claim. They have targeted hospitals. They have targeted camps where refugees are trying to get away from the war. They have been literally hunting them down. So by saying that they're going after Hezbollah and Hamas and the Fatah and the Lebanese army, that they have that are a terrorist cell, it's the fact that they're not actually targeting, because they know for a fact that Hamas and everything has their tunnels underground, and that's where their network is. But yet they attack surface. They cut off, Israel's cut off water. They've cut off electricity. And again, they're going after the innocent people. So I don't agree with the term or the statement that they're going after Hamas or Hezbollah.
Exactly. That's a good point, because you figure 25% of the people in those areas that they bombed have lost their homes. They have nothing to go back to. So this is a bigger strategy on the part of the Zionist regime in Israel that wants to just, vacate property and take it over for themselves, probably in the long run.
Well, the thing is that both the world courts, the UN, and everything else, they have put measures in place when the 10-day war happened and Israel tried to claim even more land from Palestine, to where they were told that it was illegal, that they had to give it back, both by the UN and the world courts, because they are part of NATO and everything else. They have to abide by the rules. And the problem is that they're not just trying to take land, they're trying to take heritage. They are trying to literally eradicate a people, an identity. Mm-hmm. And yet they were the victims of the same thing. So how is it that they have not had the, how to put it, just
the lessons?
Well, no, just the compassion, and understanding that there's innocent people in this, and yet they still have targeted them. So Israel can't just say, oh, well, we thought. Well, guess what? America thought that there were WMDs in Iraq, but there wasn't. So, I thought is not a way to approach something.
You tend to agree, sir. Next question.
Next question. Today, Jack Smith's motion to drop against the January 6th cases against Trump were dropped by the judge. What are your thoughts on that? Joe.
Well, it is kind of that they re-elected the people who were responsible for that, and that the January 6th crimes are going to be let out. It's new, operate in all aspects of government. And take over everything, and this is eerily reminiscent. I mean, the fact that they want to replace all the bureaucrats, and they're just above the law. I mean, I mean, it looks like it's got to get worse before it's going to get better. And fortunately, there are a few of us like the Reverend here and myself and these gentlemen who are putting on this podcast, which we appreciate. I mean, at least we have some way to have the citizens still have a voice, because it has been diminished for a long time, and Smith and everybody else is just, they were up against it. They just had nowhere to go. So,
Brett, want to respond?
No, I don't believe that it was just that he was up against it, so to speak. I believe he folded in order to. I think there was a backdoor deal with, as it has been shown, of the dirty politics and everything else. I just think that this here is just an embarrassment to the United States, because if he pardons all of the January 6ers, then what we do here has a ripple effect across the world. So if he pardons them, then you're going to see other nations who are going, and other people who are going to fight to be released because they fought for what they believed in and thought they were right. But taking away everybody else's right and replacing it with their own selfish ambitions.
Joe, want to respond, or
no, I'm good. Next question.
Next question. In Delaware, this past election cycle, to the United States House of Representatives, they elected a transgender representative, Sarah McBride. After that happened, Republican representative out of South Carolina's 1st District, Nancy Mace, put a bill to ban all transgenders from using the bathroom they want to, and forcing them to use their biological bathroom. Should this happen federally, as that's what her bill says in all locations, do you think Reverend Dr. Brent Allen Dillon, transgenders should be forced to use their biological sex to determine what bathroom they use? Yes or no?
Well, that's a tough question, because there's two sides to that coin. There are those who are truly identifying and truly seeking and truly being who they want to be. And then you have those who are abusing that power just so that way they can have access to the opposite sex bathrooms. So there's a catch-22 in that. Now, that is why, yes, I think there should be a gender-neutral bathroom. So therefore, it keeps those who have the negative and bad thoughts and bad intentions away from being and allowed to be entering public bathrooms, even on federal level, as well as protecting themselves to where they're not attacked, where that's where 90% of attacks for them happen, whether it's in schools or clubs or anywhere else.
Joe?
I like the idea of what you said, gender neutral. I mean, there's family bathrooms in Walmart. And I'm pretty embarrassed to say that Nancy Mace is my representative. So maybe Miss McBride ought to go and use Nancy's office as her restroom. But really, when you think about it, this is not what the forefront, the issue that's at the forefront. If they're using this as an issue, Johnson and his cronies, you can believe that they're picking somebody's pocket while you're not looking. While you're looking at that issue, they're pulling something else out of their hat and distracting from what the representative of Delaware was elected to do and get work done. So the distraction is very useful because Nancy and her camera chasing is effective. The lamestream media just zeroes in on all conflict, never looks for solutions. So we got a lot of work cut out for us on that front too.
The problem is that if Nancy is even remotely successful on a federal level, this will set a precedence that will have a super sonic ripple effect across the nation, because if it becomes banned federally, or they become banned federally from having their own bathrooms or using the sex that they identify as bathroom, then it's just another dig at taking away their 14th Amendment right, which was guaranteed to them. So all this does is destroys everything that Ruth Bader Ginsburg fought for in order for equality. And this woman, Nancy, is trying to literally completely destroy that pillar.
Agreed. Move on.
Next question for both of you. In states like Oklahoma, the school superintendent has been forcing Bibles in schools. Texas has been following that. In math classrooms to history classes, even science classes as well. Do you think, Joe, that they should require Bibles in all public and secondary education schools in states like Oklahoma and Texas and other states to follow that support this idea?
No, and I think those folks are actually asking for trouble because they want their version of their proper religion to be in schools, right? But what's to say that you don't allow the Quran or other books in there? I mean, why you pick the Bible? I mean, the kids aren't reading books anyway. They got laptops. They're doing all their work on that. And so, to actually put them there as if the kids are going to be all over it and it's going to solve all the world's problems, that's another diversion. That's all it is. And social issues are huge diversions. You can believe that there's financial windfalls being had somewhere, somebody's pocket being picked. I'll repeat again. I mean, these social issues are diversions. It's all they are.
My answer to this question is that I think that this is their way of trying to fight back against what's happening in Michigan, to where the call of prayer is blared out throughout the entire city for all to hear, and that whether it's school, judicial, state sessions, anything, that anyone who is Islamic is allowed to stop and pray. Now, Texas and the others, they've always been known as the Bible Belt. And I think that this is their response to the fact that the call to prayer is allowed to be played in Michigan, even for those who are not Muslim, to where they're forced to have to go through this, where people stop in the street, everything else. So right now, that is causing the rift. And again, this is just another thing that is going to cause a ripple effect. This right now is two slabs, two faults crashing into each other. And it's either going to cause a mountain where we rise out of this stronger and as a people and figure out a solution, or it is just going to cause mass destruction and a cave in to where we sink to the depths of hell.
What do you mean by destruction? I mean, what, you have an example, like you talking about violence or what?
Yes, I mean that this is it's almost like they're trying to set up a war on religions, almost a tit for tat kind of thing. And that is not something that I think is right. But now, what you were saying about the Quran being in schools, here's the thing. My nephew, he himself was told and was forced to read the Quran and had to do a report on it in high school. So with Texas and the other states putting a Bible in school, there really is no difference between those two. Because
Right, I
if
agree.
they're going to force the study of one religion, then why can't they have the study of all?
Thank you, thank you both,
Exactly.
thank you both for answering the question. Now it's time for, of course, our closing remarks and our ending statements. I'm going to give it to Dr. Reverend Brent Allen Dillon for your 2 minute session, and then once your 2 minutes is over, I'm going to mute you so Joe could have his 2 minutes to say what he wants to say for his closing statement. Brett, you may go first.
Sure. Well, first off, before we close, during my presidential candidacy run, I said a lot of things about Trump that were not so nice. And I want to publicly apologize because he is going to become the next president. So I have to give him that modicum of respect because he's earned it. He was voted, he was chosen. So I have to respect his position. I just think that he needs to readjust his way of approaching things. And I truly believe that if he was to have me on his cabinet, that or part of his team, that there's a better way of approaching things than just keeping it the way it is. Because right now, keeping the status quo or making it worse for the 99% is going to do nothing but cause the 99% to get louder and say enough is enough. So I'm announcing also that I am going to be running in 2028. I'm announcing my candidacy for president. And also, I want to let you guys know that anytime you want truth or you want to hear something that is coming from the people, please come to GCD Network. Nothing But the Truth, Thursday nights from 9:30 to 10. And I just want to thank Mr. Otto.
Thank you, Brett, so much. Now, Joseph, you can go for your 2 minutes starting now. You have to unmute.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. This is always a great network to air our views. My view is, since the Donald who got reelected again would never apologize for anything, I don't see why you should have to apologize to him, Doctor. So I would definitely never apologize. Although when I take shots at the other two, it's not their personalities, although there's plenty of ammunition there. It's about the policies. And really, I am an independent, and I represent an alliance party here in South Carolina who tries to go out and solve things, right? We align with people we don't agree with on many issues. But the thing is, what we really need in this country is, because we have one party now that is corporatist in denial, or the oligarchs, and they're fighting it out between themselves. There's where the civil war is, right there. So the big money versus the little money, I mean, meanwhile, the citizens are the ones left out. We, the citizens, have to stop wasting our vote on either Republican or Democrat. We have a citizen platform that we need to push. It's on bettercandidates.org. Things like, instant runoff voting, getting rid of gerrymandering, Election day should be a holiday. Many states have same-day voter registration where you don't have to register 2 weeks in advance. There are so many things we could fix, but neither party of those big parties will give the independents an inch. They have that collusion agreement with each other, no debates, don't give the independents an inch, and set the bar high for anybody that wants to run for office. We are recruiting people to run outside of the big two. Contact me anytime to
Thank,
see how to do it.
thank you so much, Joseph, and thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Brown Dillon, as you both did great. You had a great debate. You got a lot of stuff done. You were civil, respectful at the end of the day, and I appreciate that. And I thank you for everyone spending their time out of their day to watch this great debate on this great network. Have a great Thanksgiving. And remember, there's also shows tomorrow, so don't forget to come back. But thank you so much, both of you. I had a great time hosting. Have a
Thank you
great
for
day. Have a
hosting, sir.
great night.
Thanks, Mr.
And
Young.
thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Happy
Good night,
Thanksgiving,
Dr.
everyone.
Dillon, and good night, Joe.